and you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
Hello everyone, we're going to be using 3 emulators today. First, the Lisa emulator, Mini VMac, and Sheep Shaver. So the first one is the Lisa emulator, which is kind of an experimental computer for Apple. So booting up here, booting to a parallel external drive. Says version 7.7, release 3.1, 1983-1984, so this was actually right before the 128s were released. You can see there's just a clock, calculator. I created the documents folder that's in there. And then empty folders, so there's no system folder that I can see. Opening the calculator and the clock here just to see what's going on with them. Similar to the clock of System 1.1. So that sound you hear, that's the emulator putting off the disk drive sound. It looks like the calculator examples folder was on the desktop when the disk was last ejected. And opening the program generates that sound again. It's actually loading the information in. And it says that I need to tear off a document. So it says you need to tear off a piece of the Lisa Calc stationery. I don't know what that means, except if I copy the file and open it, it works. So what I did was I duplicated that file and opened it, and then it opened, it looks very much like Excel. So I tried to eject it in the trash can, and it didn't work. I had to eject it in the menu, which worked. Take a look at all these menus here. Okay, it's showing 19,418 blocks, 15,000 available. The text, the graphics aren't that great in this version. This is a Lisa Projects disc that I loaded. They're disk images. I think they're 5-inch floppies. Of course, you don't know because I'm not physically putting a disk in. I'm just loading the file from the emulator. Everything you do, it's like a couple seconds later it happens. There's a calendar. This looks kind of like a graph. I mean, some kind of a workflow thing. Just type slow because it's so slow. It did save files. It saved files to the hard drive. Okay, so I'm going to turn this Lisa emulator off, and when it opens back up, you'll see the other 8 emulators running. I have 6 Mini VMacs running and 2 running in Sheep Shaver. So version 1.1 is first. So it says there version 1.1 by Bruce Horn. 1.1 April of '84. I didn't have a lot of apps for that, although I could probably go back up on Macintosh Garden and see if there's anything else that'll actually run in System 1. In Mini Mac, the older versions, you got to actually eject the disk because that's what you did in real life. The 128 Macs, you had to eject the disk. So here's System 2, April of '85, about a year later, and I have applications. I just didn't put any in there. I don't know why there's no applications there. I didn't spend a lot of time on these little Mini Mac versions. They're pretty cool. The one I like the best is System 7. It's pretty amazing what you can do. You can do almost anything. You can run games and everything. Here's System 3. So here in System 3, June of '86, System 4.3 is weird. Certain versions of like 3 and 4 and 5 work better than others. Like here I got Illustrator 1 to work in version 4.3. Couldn't get Photoshop to work. I had it in here and everything. It's weird, you had to run Photoshop off a disk, but Illustrator didn't, but I got some paint programs to work. They're similar to Photoshop. If anything, they might be better than Photoshop back then. Mac Paint was pretty popular. I still think Photoshop was better. I know I have a version that does run it. There's 4.3. Yeah, Microsoft Word, you have to load a disk. I tried to document like on the system what needs to happen so I don't forget. And then here's System 4.3. System 5. System 5 is weird. It didn't last long. I think like between 4 and 6 they kind of just skipped. They only had like one version of it, and then they just went to 6. I think it was 6.0 and then 6.01. I know there's a 6.01, 6.03, 6.08. This is 6.08. I had some apps in here. System 6, I had a bunch of apps. No, I don't have not very much. I was just trying to show how the trash can expands. Remember how it was back in the day. The first computer I ever owned was a Mac SE30, and it was running this 608. That's what it had on it. That was the first OS I ran. That was in like 93, 92, something like that. This is 755. I have quite a few apps in this one. Photoshop 3 work? Oh no, it doesn't work. Yeah, I had a lot of memory problems with the 755, and I tried to allocate more, and I had plenty of memory to do that, but then it still had a memory error. Let me see here. It says it had 5,000 available. Okay. Yeah, ClarisWorks 4. I used to use ClarisWorks 3 a lot. I only used 4 for a short time before I went to the 6. Well, I guess Photoshop isn't going to work. Photoshop 3 isn't going to work. I wonder if there's a way I could fix that memory problem. It's just a memory problem. I think I had it open before in here. It's been a while, maybe a year or so since I've even messed around with this stuff. There's Colored. I used to use Colored all the time back in the day. I used to use my Mac SE a lot. It didn't run these programs, but then right after that I got my next computer was a Performa 630. Did all kinds of stuff on that computer. I learned all about Mac on that computer. That's where I learned a lot. So Microsoft Word, did it work? Yeah, this one worked. It's weird. You'd think it would need more memory. No, I guess it wouldn't need as much as a graphic program. Microsoft Word 6 was like, that was the main version of Word. Back in the day, I used it a lot. And I'm just showing like all these apps. I don't even know what to open, so I just opened this because I used to actually use this. It doesn't work very well. It never used the internet, so it's whatever the built-in database was. It didn't know what the word duh meant. Oh, it knows what hello means. Okay. Very rudimentary dictionary. In fact, it might have been one of the first ones. No, there's probably other ones before this, but I used to use it a lot. I used that Movie Player 2.5. I used AppleWorks a lot. Never used this much, but I know there were a lot of people back in the day that used this. I remember people saying, "Oh, I use WordPerfect Works." That was one of the favorite programs. 755, and then I have a bunch of stuff in here. General controls are similar to 6 and some earlier versions. Just, you know, color. Yep, the old jigsaw puzzle. Yeah, I had an app that you could import your own puzzle, and that was kind of fun. And the old scrapbook. This is the default images in the scrapbook for 755. Later they had like those 3D ones, you remember? Resolutions, you can't change. Is this Shape Shaver? No, this is a Mini Mac. I don't think you can change resolution in that. I have everything really organized. The System 8 and 9, there's 8 running. System 8 and 9 I have really organized. System 9 I've spent, I don't know, 200-300 hours, hundreds of hours getting that to where it is. This took a while to get that to where that is too. But it's System 8.7. I know you're going to ask, what is that? Well, after System 8.6, Apple actually still was going to come out with a next version, 8.7. But they jumped from 8.6 to 9. I mean, yeah, 8.6 to 9.0. This is a version I found somewhere online. It was like it's called Sarah. That was the code name for it. And so the version actually has the Sarah in it. Now here's OS 9 running. I have a custom splash screen that I made. I made that in Photoshop. But this Sheep Shaver is amazing. I mean, I've actually used Sheep Shaver to convert old files. I had files compressed from early 90s that I couldn't open, and I got this Sheep Shaver going and was able to open all of them and convert them into Word, a modern Word that I could run on my... I run Yosemite. I run Yosemite because it's sort of in between. You see, it's 904. 512 RAM is using on this. I use Yosemite because it's very backward compatible. I can do a lot of things in the past. I can run emulators up to High Sierra, I think. So I can actually run High Sierra, but I run Yosemite most of the time. It works well for me. All my apps are happy in Yosemite. I actually upgraded to El Capitan and screwed everything up. I always do copy cloner backups of my entire drive, so I can just go back. I don't use Time Machine at all. Time Machine's iffy. Yeah, I'm just trying to go through some of the pictures here of default that came with the OS. I don't think there was very many in there, just the old Mac OS background, which I used to actually use back in the day. I used to have this as my background a lot. I kind of like the darker backgrounds for contrast against the icons on the desktop. I think I'm trying to go back to my old picture here. So OS 9, I've gone hog wild here. I'm crazy. Thank you, Macintosh Garden. Actually, it's funny. I had most of these apps. I have hundreds and hundreds of apps that I just over the years saved. But some of these, you know, actually now that I'm looking at all those, I had most of those. There's only a few actually out of Macintosh Garden. Some of the games are out of Macintosh Garden. I love Oregon Trail. Of course, it was very popular in the day, so I just had to open it up here and just give it a quick whirl. I got to where when I played it, it was boring because I knew exactly how to play it, and always everyone survived at the end. It took a lot of time to figure out. Pretty sure you got to start in June, and Any other time of year, the chances of surviving is lower. Anyway, it was a fun game. Hunting was my favorite part. Funny because sometimes I would just open Oregon Trail and just hunt. That's all I do. I know other people did too. What a fun game. My God, it was so much fun back in the day. It's just a simple little game. Think about how many hours you spend playing that. A lot of good games. I think another one I was thinking it was Lode Runner, which, oh yeah, Eric Solitaire. That came bundled with some Macs. I think my Performance 630. This was like there was like a free version of it. Came with Klondike, and as you know, with System 9, you got to switch between colors, otherwise bad things happen. I'm sure you guys know this. If you just keep it in thousands and try to do certain things like games and stuff, it'll either redraw or it'll just freeze. Let's see. Yep, Word 6. Staple of word processing for sure. I think I use Word 6 and AppleWorks. Not AppleWorks. ClarisWorks 3. Word 6 and ClarisWorks 3 I use the most. Mostly ClarisWorks actually. I prefer it over Word. I don't know why. I guess just the it took me months to get this VM to where it is. It's true. I like the templates and stuff. That ClarisWorks came with a bunch of templates, and I used to use those. And then of course now you have that file, and you got to use a template because Microsoft Word it could open it if you save the Claris as the right kind of files. I've actually installed Soft Windows 3.1 I used to play around with this Soft Windows back in the day on my Performance 630. I still had the installer, and it totally worked in this Sheep Shaver. I was surprised it worked in the Sheep Shaver. Just having fun. I had this idea of running like 10 emulators within each other, and I couldn't quite do it. I think I got up to 6 or something. The variations of what works and doesn't work within certain VMs is mind-boggling. But and I also while I was doing this, I had to turn my fan up. My computer overheated. It went from, I have a sensor on my menu, and it went from like 89 degrees. Yeah, you're hearing the fans turn up. It's overheating right now again. I'm just trying to cool it down. Good old Lode Runner. I used to spend hours playing this game too. I think it was one of the first games that I kind of showed my kids when they started getting into computers. And I know my son Josh, I think Josh the most. I have 3 boys. He really loved that game. He even used the level editor and created his own. He was really into it, and I was able to get him he has a Mac laptop that has the Sheep Shaver in it, and he can run Lode Runner. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I was just having a lot of fun running all those OSs simultaneously, and I thought, man, it'd be kind of cool to make a video of this, so see you later.